This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Welcome to Moments of Clarity with Tiffany Werner, licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. Moments of Clarity's mission is to educate and end the stigma on mental health through the inspirational stories of our exceptional guests. You can join in the show by calling Tiffany toll-free at 866-826-1340 or on Facebook and Twitter at MOC with Tiffany. Now, here's Tiffany Werner.
Hi, thanks for listening. This is Moments of Clarity. I'm Tiffany Werner. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm your host. And happy Friday. Ed, thank you for everything. Happy Friday.
Absolutely. I think I had something here. Hang on 1 second.
I can't hear you.
Thank God it's Friday!
Thank God it's Friday. Happy Friday. Thank you for that. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about surviving trauma and sexual assault and how to overcome things. There's a lot that we can learn and still, so much can still be learned and strengthened. And my guest today is working on a movement with that. And she's a content creator and consultant, international empowerment speaker, and seasoned ghostwriter. She works with entrepreneurs and conscious brands to bring their vision to voice through collaborative writing in an effort to empower the world. And she's also certified as a yoga instructor and holistic health coach, and carries a fierce determination to create space for everyone to truly be seen and heard as they are. She's spent more than 15 years studying the mind-body connection and empowering women to feel safe in their own bodies. With a knack of words and a passion for empowering others to take ownership of their lives and a strong belief in personal growth and exploration, she is on a mission to help transform the hearts and minds of humanity so that together we can rise and raise the collective consciousness of our world and truly be free to live unapologetically out loud. And she's currently writing her first book titled What Was It For? To be released in 2020. And I want to welcome to Moments of Clarity my guest, Sheree Trask. Hi. Hi, Sheree. Welcome to Moments of Clarity. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Wow, what a bio. What an introduction. I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show and telling us your journey and your story and how to help others. And I want to welcome callers. You're welcome to call in. It's a live show, 866-826-1340. Once again, 866-826-1340 if you want to join us. So, Sheree, let's talk a little bit about you and how you found your moment of clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we cool to just go down the rabbit hole right up front?
Yes.
Cool. I love it. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Super stoked to be here. It's interesting because life tends to bring us many moments of clarity, but I think that there's typically 1, 2, 3 that really stand out in our lives. And I could say that I've had plenty of them in my life, but I think the biggest, most impactful one was probably when I was 19. It was October 15th, 2000, and I had reluctantly agreed to go on a date with somebody because of his persistence, despite feeling in my gut that I just didn't want to go and I shouldn't have gone. And
we should always follow our gut feeling, huh? Or intuition tells us something.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think so often we ignore that for one reason or another. For me, it was because at heart I am a rebel and I like going against the grain. And so in this case, I would say, it didn't serve me, and it also became my greatest blessing. So I went on a date with him, and a second date, actually, because the first time was a very quick date, and I was like, well, I guess that wasn't so bad, and he asked me out again, so I went. And we were supposed to go to a movie, and it was raining that night, and he said, well, why don't we go ahead and stop by my house to get you a jacket? And I didn't think anything of it. So we stopped by his house, and I walked in his front door, and he went back to his bedroom, and he called for me. And I said, no, it's okay. Just go ahead and pick out a jacket for me. And he's like, no, I want to make sure that it fits you okay. And mind you, this guy's 100 pounds heavier than me. It's not going to fit me. But I go back into his bedroom, and at that moment, my entire world changed. He picked me up, and he threw me on his bed, and proceeded to rape me. And I just remember thinking in that moment, this is not my life. This is not happening to me. There's no way that this is my new reality. And oh my God, nobody can know about this.
Right.
And as I laid there, tears were streaming down my face. My nails were dug into his back. And he just kept repeating, come on, baby, you're going to like this. I promise you're going to like this. And I blacked out. And when I came to, he was getting off of me, and he looks at me as he pulls up his pants, and he says, see, baby, I told you you'd like it. And he walked out of his room. And I remember laying there with my pants around my ankles and my shirt ripped open and just thinking like, oh, my God, I'm a statistic. Right now, I am a statistic, and there's got to be a reason this happened. And that thought process comes from how I was raised. So I ended up, crawling on my knees into his bathroom, which was also in his bedroom. And I sat on the floor just sobbing, thinking, what do I do with this? And as I got up and I looked in the mirror, I saw the mascara streaming down my face. And I didn't recognize myself. I remember questioning, like, who are you? Staring at myself in the mirror and just, who are you? Sure. And I walked out of his house, and it was still raining outside, and I didn't say anything to him. I just walked out of his house. I got into my car, closed it, locked the door, and I started praying. And I'm not a religious person, but I've always been deeply spiritual, and I just was praying, there's got to be a reason that this is happening. Please, God, Spirit, universe, whoever's listening, please allow me to forgive this man so I can be free. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how long I sat there, but I can honestly say in my whole heart that I did forgive him that night. And it wasn't about making it right. It was about being able to free myself from the shackles that this now experience had felt like it caused. Mm-hmm. That was probably, for me, that was my biggest moment. And because I was raised with this deep sense of understanding that things don't happen to us, they happen for us, but it's up to us to find the blessing. And my grandma used to always tell me when I would complain as a child, she'd say, you've got to find the four. And as a kid, I was really annoyed by that. But as I got into an adult, I saw that as, oh my gosh, you literally saved my life in that moment, because I decided in that moment that there was a reason this was happening, and I just had to figure out what I could do with this in order to help other people be free too.
Your grandma used to say you have to find the what?
Find the four.
What's
F-O-R.
the four? Oh, with the reason.
Yeah, find the four, the blessing. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if we look at everything, that there's a reason for every cause and cause and effect. There's a purpose for everything we go through to lead us to a different destiny. It's a nicer way to look at something bad happened, like to take the good out of a bad situation. And what happened to you was not your fault and it was horrible. Did you ever?
And I think that's one thing too that I want to help people to shift their mindset around circumstances, because the feeling that happens after a circumstance can only happen once we've created a thought, right? So a circumstance doesn't make us sad. It doesn't make us mad. It's the thought that arises because of the circumstance that then creates the feeling that we have, which creates the action and the reality. So if we can choose a different thought, when a thought comes in, if we can simply create the awareness around the thought and decide, does this feel good? Does this feel supportive? Or does this feel crappy? Then that's the place where we get to move into a different set of thoughts to create a different set of feelings, actions, realities.
Mm-hmm. So how do you put that in motion?
Yeah, I would love to say that it's an easy process. I would also love to say that, my experience was normal. And I'm very clear after doing this work for, 19 years ago, this happened. I'm clear that most people don't forgive first. Most people, the forgiveness comes towards the end. Mm-hmm. And there's also people that think, I'm never going to forgive this person for doing whatever they did. But my question to all of you would be then, is holding on to that pain, that anger, that negative emotion, is that actually serving you to move into the highest version of yourself and be your best for you and for the world around you? And if the answer is no, then I would, empower you, encourage you to really get curious about why you're holding on to it then,
And half the healing is the aftermath of the regret, the resentment, the unforgiveness. I mean, if even if it's not for the other person, people that have been through trauma, incest, child abuse, rape, sexual assault, to not forgive someone, it holds anger within themselves. And forgiving the other person doesn't do anything for them. I mean, who cares? They're not going to care if you forgive them or not most of the time. It's for the person that's carrying the memory.
Absolutely. And, the biggest thing and the biggest gift I feel that we can give ourselves is the gift of releasing and moving through. You hear the term a lot, just get over it, or things will heal in time. And quite frankly, I think that those things are not true.
Right.
Because time is irrelevant if you really think about it, because time is also perspective. Like, what does that even mean? And when we think about the process of healing, it's such an individual process, and it's personalized based on not only the experience, but the individual. And we are all unique. So how we move through it is up to us. And the idea of getting over something, I feel we miss the beauty in the mess. I feel that we miss the lessons that are there if we choose to create the awareness and accept that there's got to be something in here. It doesn't mean that we're going to understand why it happened, and I don't believe that the intention of negative situations or circumstances happening is necessarily for us to understand. But what we can do is choose to find something within the experience that allows us to move forward into a better version of ourselves, and that can take years for some people. It can take weeks for some people, and sometimes it's like they're laying on their deathbed and they're like, gosh, I wish that I would have let that go.
Right.
Yeah.
I had so many people that come into my office that are in their 40s, 50s that were abused as children that, they're just tired of carrying it and having things resurface. It's time to heal, and they wanted to work on it. And why wait that long,
Yeah. And I think, too, it's a really beautiful offering that we can have as people that are doing this work to open up the container, to create a safe space for people to feel okay to share. I think that there's a big problem that we're facing right now, and I'm really grateful that I'm seeing a shift happening, although slowly. But there's this stigma around trauma. There's this stigma around abuse and all of these things as if to say, like, oh, you're damaged. Oh, you're broken. Oh, poor you. And that was one of the biggest reasons for me. I actually didn't tell anybody for 4 years. And it was 3 weeks after I was raped, I found out I was pregnant. And that was another one of those, moments of clarity, if you will, where I was like, no effing way. There's no way that this is happening. And I personally chose to keep it a secret, not because I was afraid of what other people would think, because I've never cared. And I don't know if that's a superpower or not.
Yeah,
I just have never cared what people think of me. But it was, I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to be seen different, because I didn't want to see myself differently. I had already looked in the mirror and saw a different person, and now I was trying to get to know who that person was. But in the process of that, what I think is really important in trauma that people don't look at is we have the opportunity to mourn the loss of the person we were before the trauma happened. And if we don't take that time to mourn the process of that person, it's almost like we get stuck in an in-between. We don't know who we are anymore because we haven't let go of that piece of us in order to step into this new version. And it's very confusing. So I think that, I'm seeing more people talk about trauma and normalizing the process of grief and normalizing the process of pain and agony. And I see this a lot with men now stepping into the arena and redefining masculinity, if you will, to allow space for more conscious connection, for more compassion, for more openness and expression expressing their emotions. And I think it's been suppressed for so long that we don't talk about it in a way that